Today I'm going to show you how to make one of my favorite appetizers that's just as equal for a main during these festive times. My version of Swedish meatballs. Oh, they look amazing and they're gluten-free. Let's get started. Welcome back to Gary's Urban Larder. My name is Gary Rice. I'm a home cook with more than 50 years of experience. Thank you for joining me today. We've got a really fun and easy menu for any of the upcoming festive gatherings for the holidays. I'm going to show you my version of meatballs. Now, some people call these Swedish meatballs, but I have Swedish friends and they're truly not Swedish meatballs, although they have some elements of it. We're using 3 meats. We have ground beef or minced beef, pork, which has a lot of the fat, and then some lamb. So I've got the other ingredients in front of me here, and we have some chopped water chestnuts. Now that's something I like to add because of a family memory, which I'll come on to a little bit later. Stick around and you'll get to hear about it. We have aquafaba, which is the liquid that comes off of canned garbanzo beans, chickpeas. I have allspice, white pepper, onion, garlic. I have 2 bay leaves, some thyme, and that is going to go actually into our sauce. And then some parsley, which we'll finish it with. And some rice flour, salt, dark soy, and Worcestershire sauce. Now those go into the meatballs. For the sauce, I've got grape juice and cranberry juice, some grape jelly, tamari paste, and some arrowroot, which we're going to use to make a slurry, and a bit of brandy, which I'm just going to pour out the measure now so I don't forget. So you may have noticed that there's no flour. In fact, this is a gluten-free recipe. The Worcestershire and the soy are all gluten-free. Rice flour. Now, I have a cousin who is a celiac and a niece who's a celiac, and they're always asking for some recipes that are gluten-free, and this is one I hope that the celiacs among you can enjoy. It's not something I recommend sort of your host or hostess to prepare because there's a possibility of cross-contamination with other flours and glutens in your home. So it is something that you may want to make for yourself if you have that particular need, or if you're simply gluten-free, then you can use this and you don't have any severe allergies to gluten. I nearly neglected to mention my favorite, nutmeg, which will go in. In fact, let's add it now. Just gonna grate in some nutmeg. And that's, to your own taste. I'd say about a teaspoon of ground. We've got about 1.5 pounds of minced meat, of ground meat here. So use your own judgment and taste. That's going in. Now I want to grate a small onion. I'm just using the large opening on my box grater. I'm just going to grate that. And this is the fastest way to do this, and no tears. Just be careful with little fingers of these sharp edges to this. There we go. So I'm just going to add that in to our bowl, along with the water chestnuts that are chopped. I'm going to add our allspice, quite a bit of it, our white pepper, our rice flour. And I don't need any salt for this because I'm going to add the soy. So I'm just using my fingers to mix this in. just to combine the 3 ground meats and those ingredients. When I have those fairly well combined, you can see how that's fairly combined. So I'm just going to grate that whole clove of garlic and add that into the meat mixture for our meatballs. I mean, I love the holiday times and I love meatballs. It's a great appetizer. You can use it as a main. When I was a teenager, my family used to entertain quite a bit for the business at the holidays. And one of the things I was asked to do is to help with all the foods and the setups. And we did have help, a caterer. And I was asked to test the food, which you can imagine for a teenager is a great thing. So one of the things that I sampled was a meatball that had water chestnuts in it. So this is a bit of my childhood memory in terms of those times of helping my family host those holiday parties for friends and business colleagues and employees. So it was a fun memory. And since I love to cook since I was very young, my mother always put me to work, and I do not regret it. Okay, we've combined the garlic, and I'm just going to add the soy and the Worcestershire sauce. Now we're adding our liquids and the aquafaba, which helps to bind. Think of it as a substitute for your egg. So I've equivalent of 2 eggs beaten. And I'm just now going to incorporate all of that into the meat. And you'll see it's a little wet at first, but as you continue to work that, the meat becomes more of a paste, which is the consistency you're looking for, because we want these to hold together. We don't want them to fall apart. And that's one reason we're also going to bake them in the oven. So that way, you're not moving them about as they're cooking. They're going to go in that oven for about 20-25 minutes until they're browns, cooked through. And that's something you can judge fairly easily. And remember, they're also going to go back into our sauce. And if you use them as an appetizer or a chafing dish or something, they'll continue to heat through and cook. So we don't want them to dry out. Nothing worse than a dry meatball. There, I'll show you. Paste-like consistency that is easily shaped into a ball. Now, if you want to use a scoop measure to get these absolutely perfect, you can do. I'm a perfectionist, but when you're working quickly, particularly preparing for a large gathering, sometimes it's better just to eyeball it. And I want to keep these equidistant apart so they're not touching, so that the heat from the oven can get around them. Now we are going to use a convection setting, a fan, for these, because because of the pork in them, they're going to give off a lot of liquid. So we want to balance the loss of that liquid, the fat, with the amount of moisture that we want to retain in the ball. So I'll just finish making these, and then I'll show you the finished tray just before it goes in the oven. Okay, I've got 2 dozen in here, and I've got enough for a dozen more. So these are going to go into our moderately hot oven on fan or convection for about 20 to 25 minutes. So that's 350, 375, 180, 190, around there. And just keep an eye on them. And we'll be right back. And now while our meatballs are in the oven, I'm going to make our sauce. So I have some grape juice, some cranberry juice. To that, I'm going to add our tamari paste, and our grape jelly. I'm just going to add a pinch of salt because the tamari is also very salty. And I'm going to grate in a little bit of nutmeg. And I'm going to use my whisk just to combine that until the jelly is melted and the tamari paste is combined. Once this is thinned and the jelly is melted, I'm going to add our bay leaf and some sprigs of thyme. And that's just to give it a bit more of that savory flavor, because this sauce is quite sweet, actually. It will work well with the soy and the tamari and the seasonings we've added to our meatballs, including the allspice. I'm just going to switch now to a wooden spoon. The fragrance is coming through. I get the thyme, a bit of the bay, and that sweetness of the two juices, the grape and the cranberry. I'm going to reduce the temperature slightly. I'm going to let that just reduce a bit while I make a slurry, the arrowroot. Right back. So I've made a little slurry with water in the arrowroot. Don't you love this tiny whisk? I do. And now I'm just going to whisk that into our sauce. And that starts to thicken up. Back to my wooden spoon. Again, I lower the temperature a bit. We want this to simmer. You can see how that is starting to thicken from the arrowroot. And that is our sauce finished. So as soon as the meatballs come out of the oven, we'll add them to the pot. Join me then. Okay, we've added the meatballs into the sauce, and now I'm just going to add the brandy to enrich in this. And we are going to let these reduce even more to intensify the flavor. I've removed the thyme, the sprigs of thyme, and the bay leaf. So now all we have to do is wait and be patient. Okay, our sauce has been reducing. You can see it's just thickening up as part of that reduction in the arrowroot. I'm being very careful about temperature, but I do want to reduce some of the amount of liquid in that. So I'm just going to taste that and adjust the seasoning. Actually, I think it's fine. It doesn't need anything else. So as that's reducing to the final thickness I want, I'm just going to chop a bit of flat leaf parsley to go over the top. Okay, that's ready. I have my little serving dish here. If you're going to have a large party, you can have a catering dish, a chafing dish, where you can have an element under it to keep it warm, either a sterno gel or any other flammable gel or a candle. So I'm just going to turn this off because I think it's ready. there we have our meatballs. You can have this as a main, as I say. I think it's a wonderful appetizer for those holiday get-togethers, small gatherings. I wish you could smell it. I really do. It is gorgeous. Now I'm going to add a bit more of that sauce. And finally, a sprinkle of our chopped parsley. And there you have it. It's my version of Swedish meatballs, which is a gluten-free meatball made with lamb, pork, and beef, and in a sauce of cranberry juice, apple juice, tamari paste, arrowroot to thicken it, and a bit of brandy. And it just absolutely looks delicious. Now the best part of all, I get to taste it. They are hot. Those are delicious. Nice savory element, crunch of the water chestnut, flavoring of thyme, little sweetness of the cranberry and the grape. Well, thank you for making it to the end. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe if you're not already a member. Give us a thumbs up if you like the video. Remember to share it. Tell your friends. Make them enemies. Friends or enemies, it doesn't matter. Please share it and leave your comments in the description box. Until next time, that's all. Bye-bye.